we have an amazing workshop presenter now coming on for her. Is it fact or is it up? Her name is Karen D, and I think she's from Reno, but she will be able to tell us. She has been on before. Everyone wants every single one of her workshops. So she's got a lot of them, and this is number 2. So come back for Karen D, and let's open it up with lots of love.
Yay!
For fact or crap.
Today I'm going to share the screen for a second. Actually, for the whole thing. I want to talk about fact or crap today. I love that title. I think I got that off the internet. That's where I always get mine. But a fact, and they actually have definitions of crap. But a fact is how much of what I think I know is a fact and how much is crap. A fact is a truth known by actual experiences or personal observation. And crap, which is in the dictionary, is a falsehood or an exaggeration. And I'm really, really good at that. I think most CODA people could say, yeah, I can do that a lot, or I do that a lot. The shame messages that we learned about ourselves are not true. I was really glad to see that in the book. It's right in there on page 47. What I learned about myself when I was a child that was shaming and stuff, that wasn't true. You're not smart as your sisters. You're pudgy. You're this. You're that. You're not good at sports. All this stuff, and I believed it. Some of the stuff turns out to be true, but not all of it. So it's often not what we're told, but a perception of what or who said it. You know, after down the road, if I didn't have any respect for, I didn't believe that. But if I did have respect for a teacher and he told me I was a piece of crap, I would believe it. In order to survive, we adopt a set of skills that help us feel safe. And this is CODA: control, low self-esteem, avoidance, denial, compliance, and usually a combination of those. Now here we go. Here's me right here. I determine the facts by filling things in. And where do we get that stuff? The information that we're using to fill in the blanks on any situation is coming from our history. That's all we have to draw on. So we take things from the back that seem similar to what's going on now, pull it forward, bunch it all together, and now we know what's going on, and it's awful. For example, Thanksgiving has always been torture with the family. It's traditional to go to Thanksgiving torture day. It doesn't mean that this Thanksgiving is going to be torture. It depends on how you go home. The first time I did not have a bad time at Thanksgiving was because I was in CODA for a while, and I went home as an adult. Instead of a daughter or a sister, I just went home as Karen, and I had a wonderful time. And this typical Thanksgiving stuff happened, you know, the bitching and yelling and where's that lace tablecloth and damn it and all this stuff. All that stuff was still happening, still going on, but my opinion of it or my perception of it had changed. It didn't have anything to do with me. It used to be if the voices were raised in the room, it's because I had done something wrong somehow. That's not true. I found out that is absolutely not true. She always, wow, that was quick. There we go. Don't touch the button. She always gets mad at me when I, fill in the blank. That's not a basis for actual fact. And really, anytime you say always or never, that's not a fact. You're just using hysterical information. Historical information. Historically speaking, this is going to be true, but it's not a fact because it hasn't happened yet. That's the neat thing about the future. We don't know anything about it. My friend was there and she told me what she heard is the least factual fact. If I don't hear it straight from the source, it doesn't, it's not right or wrong. It's just, it doesn't get inside anywhere. That stays on the outside. I don't believe it. When only the factual facts remain, you will see how little you really know about the situation. And you can go to work on what brought you to the conclusion that you were being attacked. This is big for me because I always brought in stuff from the past, lumped it into what's going now, and I would state that as a fact. But it's not true. The actual facts are, well, I'm going to give you an example. A childhood experience, this is really neat. Let me read this to you real quick. This actually should have been up front. The child within is the sum of all of our childhood experiences, memories, perceptions, beliefs, and emotions. The child within, or inner child, is that part of us that carries the innocence of life, curiosity of nature, and the spirit of who we are. That's on page 105 from third edition. What our parents say to us as children, good or bad, becomes our inner voice as adults. You know, that inner voice that keeps talking to you, telling you no good or whatever. That's what your parents said to you as children. It's not true. I mean, it may be true, but it doesn't necessarily have to be true. As babies, we don't have any history to draw on. You know, when you're brand new, you come out, you don't even speak yet. You don't know your name. You don't know what language you're going to speak. You don't know anything about the world at all until somebody else teaches it to you or hands it to you or tells you this is true. So, for example, now I was raised in a very quiet household, very quiet. We used to run and hide. We would just leave the area. That was the safest thing to do. So if I'm around a lot of loud people, I make the judgment that they are too loud because I was raised in a quiet home. So what we state as fact about some other situation, that might not be true. This is just different. It's not right or wrong or good or bad. I don't consider that my rate only noticed was by out shouting. So I don't have any facts about their history, so I use mine. That's important. Now, Karen's not, I'm missing a page here, and that's my fault. So I'm going to go back up to that. I'm going to tell you about a problem in purchasing.
Sorry to interrupt you. Your internet is breaking up a bit. Is it? At least it is for me. I don't know if it is for other people. Your connection was breaking up. I was struggling to hear you.
Yes, I've noticed it as well.
I didn't know if there was.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, shoot. Well, mine looks like I'm good. I'm just going to keep going and hope for the best. About 3 summers ago, maybe 4 summers ago, I work at the Hyatt in Lake Tahoe. And sometimes you can imagine it's really, really busy up here. Well, I pay the bills, and it's always a really busy time, no question about it. But this one particular summer, they brought this young guy in and said, hi, this is your new helper, Jonathan, and he's going to be working with you all summer. And I want you to teach him everything you know about accounts payable. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Okay, I'm not stupid. I know what's going on here. He's going to replace me. They want to pay somebody less money. So I get it. I know what's going on. And I got really angry about it. I went to my sponsor because I'm bringing things back from my history. They're going to replace me. They had already outsourced me once. So, and not only that, my sister also worked at the Hyatt, and she didn't get a helper for the summer. She's doing the same job I'm doing in a different department. And I thought, oh, okay, she doesn't need any help. I'm the one that needs help because I'm a loser. And this, brought back all of this, you're not good enough stuff. I went to my sponsor, we worked it out, and she said, well, let's see what we actually know. What we actually know is that Jonathan is going to be working with me this summer, and then I'm going to teach him everything I know. That's what I know. That's it. As it turns out, this kid, I had assumed a lot of stuff. And this new guy turned out to be a very likable, he was a 4th-year college student. He didn't want my piddly job. He's going off to something greater, but he wanted to know the inner workings of accounting, which is fantastic to enhance his studies. It was great. Before I knew that, I used the gift of fear and the tools of recovery and my sponsor, wrote a 4-step, did a 5th step. As a result of that, I wholeheartedly trained him and taught him everything I knew, including helpful shortcuts. I checked his handshake. I did, things like this, just anything I knew that would help him out going forward in the world. And then I realized when he finished his summer work that he was not replacing me. He does not want my job. He's going to go off to something huge. And I think he's actually working for the government now. And he finished his summer work and he wrote a letter about me to Human Resources, thanking me for being so helpful and patient with him. I was like, wow, see, this is the gift of the program. Once I stopped assuming all kinds of horrible things about this kid, it turned out to be wonderful. And for the next year, he came back, and then his brother came back for the 2 years, and the parents of these two work at the Hyatt also. And I asked him, I said, do you have any more children that you can send this? No, I said, well, can you make some? Because, you know, these are really good guys. And this is one of the gifts. I don't have to be angry about anything unless I really, really want to be. It's up to me. And that's good news. And let's see, let's go to the worksheet for a minute. Is this true? Wait a minute. That's an addition. Okay, good. What I think I know about myself, making it simple. If you can, if you got a piece of paper and a pencil, get that out and start doing this with me. And here's an example. I have to work very hard at maintaining a relationship. To me, that was true. That was just true, and that was it. I knew that because it had always been true. How did I come to know this? Music, romance novels, movies, country western music in particular. The more you suffer, the more in love you are. And I was really, really in love all the time because I was suffering all the time. I just couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't figure it out. So the crap is that's a falsehood. It's a myth. It's a myth. Only unhealthy people think that. And the actual fact is a truth known by actual experience. If I have to work hard at upholding a relationship, then I'm the only one in the relationship. Okay. And here's another example. What I think about myself, I'm not very smart. How did I come to know this? Growing up, everyone around me seemed smarter. I got better grades. My perception is that they seemed smarter than me. That actually turned out not to be true. That's an exaggeration. Okay, so we've got a falsehood and exaggeration. Just because I didn't get an A doesn't mean I got an F. I was about a B-, C+ student, and my sisters above and below me were both thinner than me. See, I gotta stop that. Where are we at? Back to crap. Boom. Okay, don't touch the button. My older and younger sister are thinner than me. And so I was the pudgy kid in the middle. I wasn't as smart as they are. They got all straight A's all the time. They tested very well. Turns out they were really good at memorizing things. That's all you need, right? If you want to pass a test and get an A, you have to memorize a bunch of stuff. That's all. Really wasn't really good at that. I have more of a logical thinking brain. So when I couldn't memorize things, if I took a test once a week, I would have done great. But to wait till the very end of the whatever they call it, period of the school to take that test, that stuff's gone. It was gone within a week, unless I understood it and found it fascinating. If I did really good in classes where the teacher was handsome, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry about that. But I had one guy who looked just like Dr. Kildare, and I was like, you have my undivided attention. I'm old for the people that don't know who that is. Richard Chamberlain played that part. But he had my undivided attention, and I got A's in his class. Did so well that they set me up in an advanced 5th grade, which I almost flunked out of. You know, I could have told him she's not a handsome man. Okay, so that's why I didn't do that well. But if it's a subject that really fascinates me and interests me, I had a creative writing teacher that was fascinating. Loved that guy. I did really well in his class. I also had an economics teacher in one school that was, again, very attractive, had my attention. I got A's in his class. I went to transfer to another school when I got, launched. I got thrown out of my house, we'll put it that way. Went to a different high school. Now I have to take economics again. I'm not really sure why that occurred. And my economics class was right after lunch. And this guy was very, very boring. He talked about a different aspect of economics. He was more what's going on in the news right now. And he talked like this, and he really didn't have any inflection in his voice. And every day I was sat in the front row and fell asleep every day. It was all, and he flunked me. You know, that's because it wasn't interesting to me. And, you know, right after lunch, come on. But I would still get, you know, B- C's on an average. The truth of it is the words smart and stupid are words that I use to compare myself with others. And here's a real kind of a jewel for you if you don't don't know this already, if you compare yourself to somebody else, you're going to lose every time. You're either trying to feel better than that person and go one up on him, or you're trying to convince yourself that you're a loser just like you already knew. So compare myself to myself, I'm doing pretty good. And it's funny because this smart thing, my family had an opportunity to take an IQ test, all of us. Guess who's got the big IQ? That'd be me. I got the highest IQ in the whole family. And here I were thinking they were so smart. And it's not that, it's just that I'm a logical thinker and they're really good memorizers. So that's really it. Let's see, where's the next one? Nope, I don't think it's that one. Okay, oh yeah, just the fact. Yeah, see, I've got these all turned around. Oh dear, you know what, Linda, I should have let you do this. This is all my fault. Just the fact. Using carrot's huge problem for an example. This guy, a new guy was hired and I was going to be training him and that was it. That's all I know. But I added a lot to it. I embellished it. He's trying to take my job, this little pisher. They want to pay somebody a lot less than me to take my job away from me, and I'll be damned if I'm going to teach him everything I know. Plus, they didn't give my sister a helper. So, why is that? Why do I need help and not her? I actually added her into the original problem. She had no business in there. But historically speaking, she's better than I am. So since she didn't need a helper, that proves to me, and me comparing myself to her, that proves to me I'm not as good as she is. Again, so that's what I try to stay away from now. So I'd like to, if you would indulge me, go along with the worksheet here. And let's, dang it, I hit that button. Hold on. Hit and move. There we go. Okay, I'm not touching it. If I'd like to get some participation and somebody give me something that they have happen with them, either an idea that you have about yourself or something that happened, like this guy was going to take my job away from me, something like that, that you really think that you know everything about and that you think is true or fact. Does somebody want to join in and tell me your perception? It's like looking at a happy family at a restaurant. Everybody looks good, smells good, everybody's behaving, they're all having a great time. And you think, now that's a perfect family. And you know nothing about these people. So we perceive a lot of things that may not be true. So you perceive that other people have a bigger job than you do, or are doing better than you are, or something along those lines. Is that true or not true? I mean, is that really true or is it not true? So that's you. That's making things up. My sponsor I used to go to her and she'd say, Karen, sounds like you're making shit up again. And I was every time. That's a falsehood. It sounds like you're comparing yourself to previous things that happened. If you're doing your job right and you're, just going along doing your stuff, there's no reason for you to feel that way unless you're perceiving something that you already knew. Right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Kind of. Yeah. Okay. So the truth, known by actual experience or observation, the truth is you don't have any facts about this. You said you don't have anything to compare it to, not really. And so you're just kind of stuck doing the best job you can, and that's it. Mm-hmm. That's actually pretty cool. Because if you think you're doing a good job, then you're doing a good job. So, yeah. And we can make up a lot of stuff because our minds are always negative. I don't know why that is, but when I'm making something up and in my imagination, it's bad stuff. It's not good stuff. When this guy was going to come work with me, it was a huge insult to me. I had been working summers and it is very busy, but I've been doing it just fine for, I guess, 10, 12 years at that point. Why do I need help all of a sudden? It was like a slap in the face. And that's what it felt like. It felt like, oh, all of a sudden I'm incompetent. And I made all of that stuff up. None of that was true. But even if it was true, I still made it up. There's that. And I'm the one torturing myself for no reason. That's the thing that used to kill me. Yep. And I think.
And then you wanna do another one?
Yes. Oh yes. Let's keep going.
Okay, we have.
It's so funny that even the smallest deviation, when she turned away from him with your dog, we don't have any facts here. We don't know anything. So we assume this must be awful. That's just what we do. It's our default. So we run to our character defects, low self-esteem and all that. Well, I'm going to have to avoid her in the future because she obviously doesn't like me. It's just crazy what we do to our own selves, you know. Do we have any more hands up? I'm dying to hear from people. This is good stuff.
Ooh, here we have.
It's so true. And I honestly, once you start putting this into practice and you just kind of start, okay, wait a minute, what are the facts here? Okay, that's all I know is that he went that way. Well, all right, then that's all I know. There's nothing to make a judgment on. So that's pretty cool. If you don't have all the facts or can't really fill all of them in like we tend to do so bad. And thank God, at least you're getting resolution on these. No, you and I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name already because I'm terrible at this. Had resolution. They had somebody, oh yeah, my dog only craps on that part of it. Yay. Okay, I'm glad to hear that because, you know, I thought it was me. It's nice when you have that resolution instead of wondering for the rest of your life what you did wrong to make that dog take off in the other direction. We even do this with animals. It's crazy. I don't know.
Right.
Funny now to look back on things like that and go, wow, aren't I important? I mean, I guess I was the center of the universe and absolutely everything that happened related to me in some way. It had something to do with me. And that's the only reason I would make up stories about it. I would meet a guy for the first time. This is so embarrassing. I think that's why I like to talk about it now. I would meet a new guy and I'd mentally size him up for a tuxedo. You know, I just start making up stories about the relationship that we don't even have. So it's kind of weird, but funny. That's good enough for me. Who else do we have here?
Thanks.
That is important. And by the way, that's gaslighting. What she was talking about, when somebody tells you you're losing your mind or you're losing your memory or you don't know what you're talking about, they're trying to convince you that you're the one that's crazy. That's called gaslighting, if anybody doesn't know. So avoid that. Yeah, God bless them. God bless their dark little hearts. But you know what I was going to say, and this is important. If somebody says you should, if they start out a sentence with you should, just cut off listening right there and fill it in with yourself by saying, be more like me, because they're drawing from their history. They're telling you what you should feel like. You should be more like me. That's it. So you really don't have to listen to any of that stuff. Sometimes their comments are constructive. Sometimes, you know, you can listen to it, and if you think that's right, take some of, you know, take it out and go work on it. But most of the time, they're just telling you you should be more like them, and then you'll be okay. Yep, you should. That's a bad start to a sentence. I finally called my older sister on that one. I was really almost afraid to do it, but it came out so fast, and there it was. And she said, I don't do that. And I said, you're doing it right now. And she said, well, I guess I am. And I thought, victory. And I was out of her office like a shot because I wanted to keep being a winner. I just moved, left. So, yay, time out. But yeah, she actually was able to realize, yes, I'm trying to get you to be more like me, and then you will be an okay person. Funny how we become little actresses. I couldn't be real with people for the longest time, and I would put on what I called my representative. That's a person in front of me. That's the person I want you to think I am, and I would adjust that to whoever I was talking to. It wasn't really me, but I always had that representative out. Hi, I'm Karen. It's like when you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Karen. I'm something. You have to qualify your very existence. I'm Karen. My mom is so funny. She used to introduce our kids, us kids, as this is my sister. This is my daughter, Terry. She had 6 children. This is my daughter, Sandy. She's a Marine. And this is Karen. And then I finally became an alcoholic in recovery. And now she tells everybody about this. This is Karen. She's an alcoholic. Mom, God. But it's funny. We have to qualify ourselves. That's got to be confusing. How do you present yourself as a girl from Paris? Because you don't know what her idea of that is. So you got to make something up. That's got to be pretty strange. But I would advise you go back home to your families or whatever as an adult, not as a daughter or a sister or anything like that, but just as I go home as Karen now. And if they're having problems, that has nothing to do with me. I have, I don't know how many people have heard my hamburger story yet, but I'm going to tell you again anyway. I started working the steps, and really almost immediately my sponsor realized that I was an avoider, that my go-to pattern was an avoidance. She says, okay, that's all right. She says, so for the next 90 days, I don't want you to avoid anything. want you to say yes all the time. I'm like, oh, okay, I can work on that. And then within 2 days, I got an invitation to go home for dinner. God. And I said yes. And so I went there, and I should have known better, but that actually ends up well. I walked in the door, there was nobody around. The cat was sitting there looking at me like, don't come in here, just leave now and you'll be okay. I came in anyway, sat, I'm playing with my phone and stuff, and here comes Mom came out, and she was kind of, crying, her shoulders were heaving and stuff. And so I walked up and gave her a hug, and I said, "Hon, what are you doing?" She says, "Well, I guess I'm just stupid." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." And I went back and sat down and started messing with my phone again. So here comes my sister out of her bedroom. Mom takes off to go make the burgers. My sister's telling me she is ruining this whole house. She spills wine everywhere. It's just awful. And I go, wow, sorry to hear that. But, playing with my phone again. And so dinner's on the table. It was hamburgers, and it was delicious. And I've got this great big hamburger patty, put some cheese on there, put some bacon bits, all this stuff. And I didn't have a bun. I don't like that because I can't eat all the burger if I have bun with it. And my mom says, "Don't you want a bun?" Now, in my household, that's a warning. Okay, that's a warning. And I said, "No, I think I'm just going to eat it like this, tonight." She says, "But I made you a bun." Uh-oh, we're going up now. We're up a level. And then I said, "Well, I don't know what to say, but I really like this," and just started eating again. And she said, "Well, I told you we were having hamburgers." I'm like, okay. I'm just going to enjoy this, I think, the way it is. And my sister, the rescuer, jumped in. So she doesn't need to have a bun if she doesn't want one. So I let those two go at it while I enjoyed my nice, hot, juicy burger. And they're arguing and having a big fuss and everything I'm eating. By the end of the evening, they apologized to each other because what happened, they had a fight before I got there. Okay, so they're mad at each other. They're not mad at me, but I'm the family scapegoat. So they, put attention on me. I'm doing something wrong, so they don't have to look at their own stuff. By the end of the evening, they had got together and worked out whatever their problem was, and then apologized to me for ruining the evening. Wow. Okay, I see how this works now. If you don't do anything, you're better off. Don't get involved. Don't put your hand in there. So that now I can go home with no problem. So very cool. Wow, that is so familiar. If I can't get an A, I am not going to do it because I'll get an F. And
I'm so
and somebody
Right.
behind you, somebody in your history told you weren't very fast at things. Now, when I grew up, we didn't have computers, right? When I first started working, we didn't have any computers. So now they have them in kindergarten, I think. So if people are growing up, kids growing up, they got all this experience that we don't have. So I know just exactly what I need to know on a computer, and that's all I know. But I would honestly recommend that you do it anyway, because if you're an avoider, that's just what you're going to do. And it'd be nice to break that pattern and do it anyway. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to get an A. You can come out with a C and still be just fine. See, this makes perfect sense to me. Being the middle child also, I was not the spectacular show-stopping child. I didn't have the big stuff that my sisters had. I had other stuff. That's what I didn't realize. I have other gifts than the gift of memorization. They've gone on to have kind of crappy lives. I wouldn't swap them. I wouldn't swap them. Mine has been no picnic basket either, but at least I'm here now. It's interesting that you would take on the role of caregiver because if somebody else needs you to be alive, that's pretty big. That's a spectacular accomplishment in your own mind. What could be better than that? So it makes sense to me that you would be doing these things and also feeling terrible about yourself in the meantime. But you have other gifts than your sisters and brothers have. They just have something different from you. So once you figure out who you actually are, that's going to come out and shine for you. And then you'll start to feel better about yourself, irregardless of what they're doing. If they don't act, that's not really your compass anymore. That's not who you should be putting yourself next to as a backboard or to compare with. I'm not doing it really good unless I'm being like them. And that's going to be hard because of how many siblings you got that are doing the same thing. But it's you're just different. That's all. You're not wrong. Well, you're the one that has decided that matters. You're the one that has decided that making a lot of money matters. That's what makes you a good person, or a worthwhile person is how much money you make. Start thinking about that and start changing and start seeing, gosh, is that true or not true? You know, I don't make a whole lot of money. I have a very wealthy boyfriend, so I'm lucky there. But it actually is, that was in the don't column for me when we started out. Now we figured it out. We're on a sliding scale. If we go to a nice restaurant, he pays. If we go to McDonald's, I pay. It's perfect. Yep. Yeah. Figure yourself out. Who am I? Do I actually, you know, what do I like and what do I don't like? Try everything. Stop saying no because you might look stupid. I took up snowboarding when I turned 50 and I looked stupid for a long time. I didn't take to it right away. It took me a long time to learn it, but now I'm an ace at it and I love doing that. And I'm not a sports person. I just don't do sports at all. I barely exercise, you know, that's just not me. And so when I took up snowboarding, it's just, man, it feels good to have achieved that. What's that phrase? It's an egomaniac with an insecurity complex. That's totally me. Okay, it's totally me. But so for you, what do you think about myself? I'm not worthy. I'm not worth having this job. How did you come to know this? My background. Is that true or not true? No, that's not true. All we know so far is that they hired you for the job. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Everything else is just stuff that you made up. And so good job. I mean, wow, because you get to choose now, you get to take the time to find out, do I like this or not like this? And my sponsor gave me a really good advice sometimes because I used to make up these great suggestions and stuff. And she says, Karen, next time you have a really good idea, just do the, I'm going to have to get back to you on that because I got to think about that for a while because I didn't know. I did not know who I was. I was so busy showing my representative to everybody. I didn't know who I was or what I liked or how to say, nah, I don't really feel like I want to do that. And it's okay now. You know, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but it's easy once you get to do it after a couple of times. They're not true. No, it's not true. Now that those blinders are off, it's probably scary at first. You know, now what's my role in the family? But once that is established, my role in the family is no longer scapegoat. I quit that job. So now they have to argue amongst themselves. I don't try to help and try to take it on myself.